Hi, my name is Chuck Hollander. If you're in the financial services business, I'm going to show you how to increase your income by over 25% of last year's production. We're going to pull one single lever, and that's called stalled deals. I can increase your income by just reducing the amount of stalled deals that you have by this technique. 40% of all presentations, 40% of all closing meetings, when you give advice to a client, 40% of those meetings end up as a stalled deal. Stalled deals cost you money. And I'm not talking about selling stuff. I'm talking about when you've given perfectly sound advice to a client in need or a prospective client in need that actually had the challenge that you have an expertise in fixing. You gave them sound advice and they didn't take it. We call that a stalled deal. And about 40% of all client recommendations end up as stalled deals. Stalled deals cost you money. So I'm going to talk to you and teach you how to recognize stalled deals and to avoid them. Here's a couple things. Stalled deals are highly predictable, and the cool thing is they're avoidable. Let's cover a couple myths. Number one, sales is not a numbers game. That is a complete oversimplification of where sales performance comes from. Of course, numbers will increase your income, but it's not a numbers game. If it was a numbers game, skills wouldn't matter, and you wouldn't need to know what I'm about to teach you. You wouldn't need to understand why stalled deals even happen. So first off, sales is not a numbers game. That's a complete oversimplification of where sales performance comes from. And I'm going to teach you where it comes from and how to pull that lever to increase your income. Second myth, it's a cost of doing business. When you lose a deal, it's not a cost of doing business. That's nonsense. Stalled deals happen for a reason. In almost 85% of all stalled deals, if you gave me all your stalled deals over the past 18 months and we put them on this desk right over here, 85% of those stalled deals happen for two reasons. I'm going to cover them with you. They're not a cost of doing business. And the last, win some, lose some, that's a loser's mantra. That's nonsense. So get rid of these myths and understand that stalled deals are highly predictable and they're avoidable. In order to do that, I turn our attention to the red flag compass. For those of you who haven't seen the red flag compass, it is Red Flag's way. It's my way to create structure around delivering client advice. It's built off of how human beings make decisions towards change. It recognizes that we're all satisfied with some aspect of our life and that needs evolve over time. And the compass gives you direction and allows you to map that evolution. So it recognizes that we as human beings make decisions towards change in a way that's predictable. It's built in our DNA before our feet hit the ground. What I've done at Red Flag is connect that change model, what we call the change model, to how you build clientele, your sales process. And the reason why we did that is because the decision to take your advice is a decision to change. Change from what they're doing to what you're recommending. That is a decision to change. Well, that decision to change is also a decision to buy. So this model, the Red Flag Compass, recognizes that we're all satisfied with some aspect of our lives. As time evolves, we may become aware of some sort of issue, something that's broken, something that's outdated, some sort of problem. We become aware of that problem. And if that problem persists, we go down into this stage, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and we eventually get to 6 o'clock fix. And we make this decision. We want to fix it, yes or no. And if we want to fix it, because the cost, the consequence of risk in quadrant 2, the persistence of that problem is so big, then we move to stage 3 and we start to explore options. So that's how we make decisions towards change. It evolves. Stage 1 we call quadrant 1. Stage 2 we move from aware to fix. It's quadrant 2. And quadrant 3 is where we decide to fix because the cost, consequence, of risk in quadrant 2 is too great. Or just staying status quo. So we decide to fix it and start exploring options. Ready for this? Want to see how we hijack the human brain? As soon as the buyer over here becomes aware of a problem, you guys get into a discussion around aware of a problem, You put your cape on, you fly over here, and you start presenting solutions and start giving advice. What's happening is your timing's off. You're actually presenting advice to someone who hasn't even decided they want to fix it. There's no wonder it's a stalled deal. Think about that. How predictably irrational is that? You're actually moving from here to give someone advice, present your solutions, give advice, make recommendations to fix a problem they haven't even decided to fix. There's no wonder it's a stalled deal. So you're hijacking how the human brain makes decisions towards change. The fact of the matter is, a change model travels in a clockwise fashion, and there are no shortcuts. When you try to shortcut the process, you're hijacking how the human brain makes decisions towards change. So here's a couple of things I want you to remember. Number one, use the compass. It doesn't matter what you're selling because it's based on how people make decisions towards change. So if you're selling investments to either an enterprise, an institution, or even an endowment, if you're selling life insurance to a young family, to a wealthy family, it doesn't matter what you're selling. I could teach this same model to Boeing so they could sell helicopters more effectively to the Pentagon. The model's based on how human beings make decisions towards change. So now I've added structure, I've added a framework to the way you build your clientele. And it does not get in the way of your style, because everybody has their own sales style, and your skills. Over time, everybody develops their own skills and develops their own style. What I'm doing with the red flag compass is I'm adding a third element, and we call that element structure. And when you add structure to your sales game by using the compass, you're able to see things that you couldn't see before. You can see your sales game before, during, and after. I bet when I illustrated this, you started to think about a case where you jumped the compass. Could have been a month, could have been a year ago. But you were able to see and think about a case that you jumped the compass, where you started to present solutions to someone who hasn't even decided to fix it yet. And that created a stalled deal. So think about what I just gave you. I give you a visual framework. I gave you a visual framework to see the playing field in ways you never could see it before. And that gives you the ability to now improve your game in ways you couldn't before. So now you have an understanding of why stalled deals happen. If they happen when we come over here and we ignore this section here, this is a conversation around the cost, the consequence, or the risk in the absence of change. This one here, this conversation in quadrant 2, this one is the catalyst. This is the one that creates urgency. This is the one that avoids stalled deals. When you skip it and just jump over here, you're stacking the deck in your favor. You're increasing the probability of a stalled deal. So the pro tip, go to quadrant 2. Have a conversation around the cost, the consequence, and the risk in the absence of change, and that'll be the catalyst. And then they can decide, hey, in the grand scheme of things, where does this fit in? Is this something you want to fix? Yes or no? In other words, there's a big difference between being aware of an issue and acknowledging, saying yes, being aware of an issue and acknowledging the cost, consequence, and risk in the absence of change. So there it is. It's red flag compass, structure, stalled deals. Seeing the game in ways you could never see it before. Increase your income, build your clientele, and grow your business faster by using the red flag compass. Add structure to your game, and it'll change your business forever.